This is 4.1 assessment by Spike Glazerick-Higgs. So for my introduction to ethical and legal issues, I'll be looking at the Nazi experimentation. So in concentration camps, Nazis would put anyone in their camps, so Jewish people, anyone that they thought were inferior or below them, and they would test on them. So some experiments that they did were this one in the picture, which is a cold water experiment. Others included bone and muscle transplant, twin experiments, and high heat altitude, low altitude, and cold experiments. This is obviously these experiments were not ethical or legal in any way, and without consent, and as they were harming these subjects, even to the point of where they'd kill them, it was definitely ethically wrong. And even though they couldn't be controlled as they were, the government, it would, in nowadays terms, would be classed as illegal. An experiment that shows ethical and legal implications would be Zimbardo's gel experiment at Stanford University, where he had a group of volunteers who had no idea that this was the case, so he didn't inform them, and there was no debrief. But he split a group of volunteer students from Stanford into two groups where they would take on the roles of prisoner and prison guard. This experiment was stopped after a few days, as the roles of the prison guard was completely unclear, and when asked by the students playing the prison guard, Zimbardo said, "It's your jail, you can do what you want," and the experiment was stopped due to increasing levels of violence and unethical behaviour by the guards to the prisoners, where the prisoners were treated in poor conditions. So not only was this unethical, it was also illegal in the way that they were treated, as they were treated violently and were not given their basic human rights. Another experiment would be Milgram in his obedience testing at Yale University, where he put together a experiment with subjects playing a part where they thought it was a choice with another participant, but this participant turned out to be an actor, where recording their obedience to authority. And in this experiment, this was a researcher in a lab coat. Whenever they asked to stop, the experimenter didn't say they couldn't, but they did say that the experiment should and has to go on. This was not giving them their right to withdraw, and could cause possible psychological harm. As well as this, it was recorded, so it could very easily lead to a lack of anonymity, where they should keep identity completely out of research findings. And this was also completely unethical, and as they were, under what they knew, subjecting the other participant to high levels of electricity, and by the time that they had finished the experiment, the level of electricity that had gone up progressively through the experiment was at levels where it could be very, very dangerous, or even could kill the thought to be participant playing the learner role. Now, ethical and legal issues. What are they? An ethical issue is a problem that defies what is morally correct to do. So it's doing something that is seen as wrong by society, by people in general, but legal issues is a problem that defies the law, so it goes against what the laws state not to do, so it is illegal. When the difference between ethical and legal, obviously, because it's reinforced by the law and police, where if you do break the law, there are punishments, but with ethical issues, when you break the code of ethics, where you perform unethically or act unethically, there could very easily be legal problems in that situation. But when it's just unethical, there is no punishment to back this up apart from socially and socially. Key ethical and legal issues would be BASES. This is the group, the British Association for Sport and Exercise Science. This credits sport scientists, making them more valued and respected in the field, and it gives them more accreditation to their work. As you can see here, it's the British Association for Sport and Exercise Science, so it's the leading government body, national body for sport and exercise science. The Institutional Ethics and Review Committee is the committee in charge of monitoring, approving and reviewing experimentation on humans. Ethical clearance being where all researchers have to gain ethical clearance to carry out any experiments on humans. The risk-benefit analysis, where the experiment can only go ahead and is only allowed if the benefits outweigh the risks. With volunteers, they are no research should be forced upon participants. So all participants in any experiment should be volunteer and be happy to do this instead of having it forced on them. Informed consent is a legal document which informs all plans of a session, experiment, and give the participant the knowledge that they have the right to withdraw, and this has to be signed before any experimentation has been conducted. The right to withdraw is allowing participants to withdraw any point that they're partaking of or to withdraw their results, or even if they're them taking part at any point if they do feel uncomfortable or for any reason don't want their results to be used or to be even a part of the experiment. The right with health screening, this is another legal document, and on which should have any health issues that should be notified, that the researcher should be notified of. This should also be confidential, as if it was to be released, it could cause psychological and social harm to the person it's based around, as it could be something that they're quite embarrassed about. Part 2 of this would be equality and impartiality, where all experimentation should be equal, and anyone that does partake, and where researchers should be completely objective in how they research this. Research responsibility is where the researcher is responsible for participants before, during, and after data handling. Before, during, and after the experiment. This includes something like data handling or the anonymity of their results. Deception is between omission and commission. Omission is where the participant is not told at all the aims of the experiment, and commission is where something different is told, where they are told the aims of something. They are told aims of an experiment, but not the experiment they are doing. So this would then deceive the participant, but this can also be used with a debrief straight after. This can be used to reduce any this can be used to reduce any demand characteristics, as they wouldn't be able to tell what the hypothesis was of the experiment, and this means that the findings would be a lot more reliable. Health and safety, obviously, where the health and safety does have to be checked, and where it is checked by a executive. Health and safety is where researchers should always carry out a full risk assessment to lower the risks, and assessing health and safety is monitored by the health and safety executive. This is to reduce any likelihood of injury or anything that goes wrong in the experiment. It would reduce the likelihood of it. Confidentiality and anonymity, where the confidentiality is to keep this, you are to reduce the risk of exposure, where the work and the findings do have to be password protective if they are not anonymous already. Anonymous being that there can't be any personal details or name involved with the findings. Data protection, where where all data has to be locked away, password protected, and again, like anonymity, it does have to be anonymous. Scientific misconduct could be down to around expertise and reputation, where plagiarism, quotations, ideas, and paraphrasing would be looked upon badly, where after the data collection, if there is any plagiarism from perhaps another that isn't on this PowerPoint, would be the participant disclaimer, like a brief and debrief for the by the researcher to the participant, where they tell them what they will be doing and the aims of the research. Consequences of going against these would be something like ethical training, where you would have to take a course down to the to learn about ethics and how to keep to the ethical guidelines. Prison, so that could be a prison sentence if you do go against any laws. Reprimand, where they would have to be could be reprimand or suspension, where researchers would be prevented from carrying out research from this, actually no, from any other kind of experiment at all, or for even carrying out research for a period of time or even forever, where they wouldn't then get the ethical clearance to go on with this experiment. Physical harm could come physical, emotional, and social as well, which isn't on there. All of these kinds of harm could come to the participant if anything is done unethically or illegally. There could be fines down to breaking laws instead if it's not severe enough, or if it's breaking ethical guidelines. The Helsinki Accord, then there could be a fine in that for the researchers. They could lose their professional credibility, so their research wouldn't be credible or and wouldn't be looked on as reliable or good research due to acting unethically or illegally. So it could be involved with treating your participants badly, and your BASES accreditation can be lost, which means that any kind of or any work that they do, it won't be recognised as your work won't be recognised, and you won't be recognised as someone who carries out ethical and legal research frequently, so you won't have as much of accreditation and credibility in your work.